Warning, this podcast is a frank discussion of street life. As such, it contains foul language, disturbing images, and a lot of Jesus talk. It is not intended for sensitive listeners. The following podcast contains subject matter regarding homelessness, trauma, drug addiction, and other social issues. Some may find it troubling. Please be advised. We use social satire to address these issues with the intent to make them easier to process.
The Sharpsbox podcast Halloween special is rated R. It will mess you up. All you good church people out there, stop listening. Turn it off. I warned you.
This Halloween, American International Pictures presents In the Company of Creeps, starring Earth 2 Wendy. From the studio that brought you The Wedding Date and The People Under the Stairs, Randy Archer, and sorry to hear Mark's missing.
So they pulled out the body and it was decapitated.
Oh my word.
Can I collect myself?
All right, hey.
Listen up, all you zombies. This episode's grimier, gorier, and gooier than normal. So brace yourselves. Get out those home sewing kits and stitch yourselves up because we brought enough blood and pus to share with the whole class. If you think you can handle it, climb on into the Sharpsbox, the holiest nonprofit podcast around on account of all the needles we get stuck with. Too soon? I stole that joke from an episode of Scooby-Doo I watched last night. Don't worry about it. I'm your host, Liam Sharp, and this is...
I'm Will. I'm currently on HIV medication for being stuck with a dirty needle.
It was muscle relaxers last time. It was muscle relaxers last time.
They were more fun.
Stay tuned for next week for live updates after my dental surgery.
You're not getting anything fun now. They just tell you to take 2 Tylenol and get the hell out of the office.
I know, it was going to be 6 months if I wanted to wait to go under. Otherwise, I got to raw dog the maxillofacial surgery. That's the real horror, is like juggling insurance.
Now, the real horror is once you have your wisdom teeth dug out and then you get like something stuck in the hole and you can't get it out and the panic sets in even though you're using that little like respirator bulb to suck it out. I'm Will. Okay. Everybody knows that.
Today's guests are our boss, Wendy Screcco, and podcast sensation, Randy Archer. Stay tuned to find out which one owns a Tesla. Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween to you and yours. Or if you're those people on the internet who are mad at me because I need to find a real church and stop worshiping the devil because I hand out candy to little kids on what apparently is the devil's birthday.
We all know it's only devil worship if you don't give out full size.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it is. Anyway, from a Bible school perspective, Randy, when did we establish the devil's birthday was like? Well, let's step back. The devil is an Elohim, a non-corporeal spiritual being. How was he born, and whose womb did he come from?
Well, there's an old lady that lived next to us when we were little kids. No, I'm just kidding. Not her. No, I've actually...
She had a stank-ass womb.
She was a horrible one. No, I'm just kidding. So I've actually never heard Halloween referred to as the devil's birthday.
You never have?
No.
Boy, I must be the only guy on the internet that's like poking those bears.
I'm actually going to like
You're
look
making
into
a
that now.
hobby
Devil's
Yeah,
birthday.
no, I love it. They're like, oh, you can't celebrate Halloween. It's the witch's Sabbath. And like, it's a Catholic holiday. We invented it. It's like, go around and scare the demons away with your scary costumes so we can celebrate the lives of saints who led a Christian example. But somehow they're like, I've talked to real witches. And like, did they try to sell you a book?
True. Very true. No, I don't. I don't see the devil's birthday in anything, although I am curious about that now. I
think I would need to step back further. That whenever the devil's birthday is, how is he born?
Well, the best that we can gather from the scriptures is he just was part of the council of God. And none of them were like, well, if you read some fiction, they would say that the devil was the first or the second being to come out of nothing, and the first being to come out of nothing said, oh, I'm the one that created you, right? So that's fiction.
Which Harry Potter book was that?
Part 2 of the 7th one,
It's
I think.
all part, well, it's part of that whole golden compass thing. On Harry Potter, but, there are some correlations.
Yeah,
I
the
would
one that
imagine.
they keep trying to make happen and no
Yes,
one likes.
and nobody likes it because it would fit well with what people keep getting arrested for in our current day and age. It's really kind of
Relations with polar bears?
it's very close. If by polar bear,
Hey, if you
mean
want to
child,
make
then
love
yes.
to a polar bear, go for it. I mean,
don't
it's
know
kind of
if
impressive.
The mechanics of love would get you very far. Just hate screwing in the parking lot of a Jack in the Box.
Okay,
Oh,
so
nice, nice.
his dark materials, I believe, is
His
that
dark
series.
materials, yes. Everything just comes out, and there's deception, and so that's all ridiculousness. No time frames given in scriptures or any of the peripheral writings of when the devil, quote unquote, was born, other than at one point he said, I will. He wanted to be God.
Mm-hmm.
And so this Elohim said, I want to be God. I want to sit in the throne. I will, I will, I will. And God said, no, you won't. And he was cast down, and a bunch of others went with him. And they set up kingdoms here, which you read. We kind of touched earlier. You read all through the Old Testament why God intervened and said, wipe that entire people off the face of the earth because of what their Elohim, their God of choice, was doing was horrific and brutal. And now here we are in pursuit of who Jesus is, because he paid for everything and it's all been taken care of. And now we get to live in that.
Point being, Halloween, not the devil's birthday.
Not the devil's birthday.
It's half lapsed Catholic, half candy bar company corporate cash grab, which makes it wholly American. Halloween isn't satanic unless you're Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Video is on.
Go for it. Do it.
Maggots? Anyone?
Do you want me to segue for you?
No, it's
Okay.
good. It's good. People freak out from bugs, especially little girls. Maggots love to eat things that are dead and necrotic. That's how flies are made, is from maggots. There was a lady that I had taken care of. She came in really confused. And she was homeless. And someone had called 911 because she was acting not herself. And so she came in and she was wearing a beanie. And she had been complaining that she had head lice. She did not want to take the beanie cap off at all. And so there became a point where you have to take it off. So we took the beanie cap off, and it takes a lot to make me gasp. I see a lot of gross, disgusting things in my line of work. Her head was completely covered in maggots. She had lice at one point, and they created wounds, and she then got maggots because flies landed on her head and laid eggs, and they were boring holes in through her scalp was necrotic. So we did an MRI and a CT scan of her brain because she was acting weird, and we wanted to make sure she wasn't having a stroke, and there were maggots eating her brain. She did eventually die from maggots.
Could you push your finger through her skull like an overripe cantaloupe?
Yes, you could. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this where I get to talk about my favorite George Clinton album, Maggot Brain? Funkadelic, look it up. It's great. We'll put the cover here. Randy, Maggot Brain? Funkadelic?
I probably know some songs, but I'm a little preoccupied.
Give it a listen on the drive home.
I mean, I usually see maggots on wounds, which are really helpful. Most people freak out over them because I don't really know why. They're actually a little cute. I mean, they're just they inch, and they do a great job.
Have you ever seen one of them under a microscope?
No,
Cute's
I haven't.
Not the word.
I haven't.
We'll put that right here.
I've ordered maggots and put them on someone on purpose, and then 2 weeks later, we took them off and didn't tie the bag tight enough, and so we had a fly infestation. So Orkin was then involved. That was fun.
Well, they do hatch at a certain point, right?
They do, yeah, they do.
What happened to the lady with the
Right.
melon soft head?
She ended up dying.
Rest in peace, maggot lady.
Yes.
Just do it like that.
She was confused and happy. I mean,
I think we need a rap air horn right there.
haven't you seen Hannibal eating someone's brain? They didn't really know. So, I mean, it wasn't really... Sorry.
Oh, yeah, she's one of the few people who can still make me go, oh! No other person has stories horrific enough to...
I just don't even think they're that horrific.
Did she die in the hospital?
She did, yeah. She died in the hospital. Comfortably. Yes, she did.
Because the maggots ate the brain.
Because the maggots ate her brain.
That's wild.
I thought it was fascinating. I had never seen anything like that.
So when you saw that the maggots were in the brain,
Yeah.
was there this moment of like, let's just help her go? Or was this like, we can fix it?
You can't fix mushy brain.
I didn't think so. I was just curious.
It went from we
was.
can't heal this. It was more maintenance, let's not make it worse.
So whose
make her
call is
comfortable.
that? The doctors walks in, well, this is... It's just
Dr.
fucked.
House.
I don't care. Like,
Collaborative.
You take a vote.
everybody, thumbs down, thumbs up.
It's like when the wave is cresting on a tsunami and you got to decide to swim over it or be crushed. You take a vote on like,
Yeah.
this is
Right.
it. Let's just accept our fate.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
What was the?
Yeah.
How many were like? No, we should push forward.
Nobody.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no. A week prior, I had seen parasites in someone's brain from eating raw pork, not from a wound, and I thought that was
So pork sashimi is a bad
pork
idea.
sashimi is a no-go.
What about
Yeah.
nigiri? No rice. I'm watching my diet.
Just not
Just
no
pork.
raw pork.
Wait, now hold on. Can I clarify? Undercooked pork or
I
straight
will-
up raw
After
dog
that,
and
I will
lamb
not.
chop?
It was undercooked. It wasn't even
It
raw.
was just, they weren't just going for the pork sashimi.
No, no, it's just I will never eat undercooked pork.
So bacon or nothing?
extra
Hallelujah.
crispy.
Well, thank you for bringing the mood back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
that's-
you actually did. I think.
Yeah, no,
Something
that
happened
was
there.
Gnarly.
great.
Now,
The
Randy, you
mood.
go. Top that.
Well, it's been said that if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. If you want to hear Will laugh, tell him people are basically good. I don't know. Have you guys ever had these moments where you're confronted with evil in a way that you can't really deny? Like I hear people say people are basically good, and I'm like, what's your evidence? What happened in junior high that went so well that you learned that lesson?
Yeah.
And I don't like what? I don't get it.
Yeah. So I was actually in the Tenderloin in San Francisco when I was a youth pastor. Took a bunch of kids down there to YWAM base, Youth with a Mission. And we were just doing outreach and we were helping out. And then it was the last night. So we were going out, we're going to go eat, we're doing all this stuff. And there was another youth ministry there, and the other youth pastor and I had become friends over the week. And I walk up and he's talking to a group of very obvious, you could tell that the streets were their home, right? And they had a very young boy that they had him like around the neck, and this youth pastor was like, hey, pleading with these guys in some way, there's something I can do that you can leave him here with us and we'll give you guys something. How can you leave him with us? And we went back and forth for a little while, and it was brutal, and they left with the little boy as payment. Not like from us, but just on the streets. And they had received this little boy in payment of something, and they were leaving with the little boy.
I always give people the benefit of the doubt, and I always thought that everyone was good. People do stupid things, but everyone was good. And I had been a nurse a couple of years. And this 10-year-old came in with stomach pain. And she was there with her stepdad and her mom. And her stepdad was very caring and really nice. And we got along great, trying to figure out why she has stomach pain. He did eventually disappear before we found out why she had stomach pain. She was 8 months pregnant by her stepdad at 10. And it was really rough. And it kind of reminded me of Satan in a way, right? Like he was the most beautiful angel, right? He's the... I touched the microphone. He's the deceiver. And I felt very deceived and really just so hurt for her because he seemed like a normal dude. And I don't think anyone knew what was going on. The mother absolutely didn't know what was going on. And, you know, I often wonder how that 10-year-old is doing now. She's 22. So, you know, is she out on the street? Is she doing okay? Is she stripping? Has she gotten counseling or gotten help for that? But I no longer really view people as all good.
Let me get one of my first dinner and a movie stories out of the way. This is like right in the very, very beginning. Are we all ready to go to church?
We are ready to go to church.
Can we get an amen out of everybody?
Amen.
We're going to get some church going on up in here. We're going to fight the devil today, baby.
Hallelujah.
Got the Jesus in me, way down in my heart, and I'm feeling the power. Bring it on, devil. I've been down to the river. I went down to the river, and you know what I saw? I saw on the other side the devil was looking back at me, and I'll tell you who flinched first. Him.
What is happening?
We're at church.
it's like week 3 of dinner and a movie. And
Week 1 was 9/11, so we're
yeah,
it's all up.
we had 9/11, boom, world's ending. Week 2, we're kind of like, well, we don't know if the world's ending. Things are getting weird. What's going on? Week 3, it's like we're probably going to continue doing this for a little while, and there's already people showing up a little bit more and a little bit more. And well, actually, now that I think about it, people weren't showing up on week 3. We had a lull, and that's what made this so weird. Was we were like, first week we had like 30 people. Second week we had 50 people. The next week we were down to like 10, and we didn't know why. But I had already been in my habit of getting my food and going and sitting down with the homeless kids and looking at the college kids angrily, like, do the damn dishes. I don't get to go home till you put the dishes in the dishwasher. And they're like, would you like to play Monopoly with me? So I'm over here, I've got my little table of homeless kids I'm talking to. And this dude walks down, and he looks a lot like the lead singer from Offspring before he got old and like middle-agey and stuff. But like right when Offspring came out, he has this spiky blonde hair, blue eyes. But like you could tell that when he walked in, the girls noticed. And he went through the food line and got a plate of food, and he came and he sat down at the direct opposite end of the table from me and was just like glaring at me. And I'm getting very, very uncomfortable with the fact that he's staring at me so intently. But we're talking, and it's mostly light stuff, like what movies do you like, what that kind of stuff. We're not really engaging in like, tell me about your abuse and how I might be able to put some Jesus inside you. We're just talking light, and this guy starts joining in. At first he's really, really light. Like, hey guys, everything in the world's fun, and like, oh cool, he's engaging and stuff. And like there's this young woman there who is like one of my favorite strippers of all time, because
top 10 at least.
Top 10. But she was funny and like really had like a kind of a feisty spirit to her. And she's looking at the guy at the end of the table like why is he not blink? Like normal people blink, and like your eye. At one point I was like, is his eyes going to dry out? And so he starts talking. He gets really weird about what he's talking about, and he starts talking about various myths, and he's doing it from the voice of the character, and he's talking about like Horus and Isis, and like how. I'm forgetting the god that ate the god, but then Isis had to put them all back together. And then he shifts to some Greek stuff about Dionysus being born out of Zeus's hip. And the whole time he's telling this story from the point of Dionysus. And then he gets to Odin being crucified on the world ash for poetry, and every time he's doing it, he just gets more and more intense. The voice he's doing accents, and it's very weird. And then he looks at the girl and he's like, and then there's the perpetual sacrifice who must die. And he's getting really weird and like moving closer to her. And I start thinking, is this guy possessed? Like, what's going on here? And I'm like just trying to get my bearings, because what they don't ever tell you about these things is like when they happen in real time, you're not prepared.
Yeah.
Like you're not sitting there going, clearly there's something I could do.
Right.
I've been practicing. You're just like a guy sitting in a moment going, this is getting weird fast.
Yeah.
And he basically is telling this girl that she has to die, and so he could be glorified. And I'm trying to remember, because I'm not thinking clearly. I'm like, well, if he jumps at her, I have to like jump at him back. And then I'm like, oh right, I'm supposed to say like in the name of Jesus, Satan, get behind me. That's what all the missionaries that would come to talk at my church would say. And the minute I say that, in my head, I don't even say it out loud, the dude gets up, he slams his hand on the table really loud and shoves the food away from him. And he looks at me and says, I must go now. I appreciate the hospitality. And he points right at me and he goes, but the children of the light have poisoned this food against me. And he turns and leaves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. Well, that was weird.
Yeah.
If not supernatural, super weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
It was
A title
very
card
weird.
here.
It was the first time I actually came across something like that.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, well, what happened? I was like, well, I was thinking that I should say something, and then he left. And then he left. So, job well done.
Yeah.
I saw him again like 2 weeks later sitting out in front of the church, and everything about him was different. Like he the only way I could describe him is he looked like a sad, lonely little boy
Yeah.
sitting out there. And I was walking by and he was like, is there going to be food here tonight? I heard that you have food here. And he was like, I said, well, yeah, you were here a couple of weeks ago. And he's like, no, I wasn't. I was like, no, you were here. Your name's Daniel. And he was like, oh, yeah, that's my name. And
Yeah.
I was like, we had some food. You left early before finishing your meal. And he's like, I don't remember being here at all, man. But I'll be down for dinner. And he came down and he was just like this weird, sad little kid that kind of sat there moping all by himself.
Mm-hmm.
And all the bravado was gone and everything.
Yeah.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the stories, I think, of the reality of the spiritual world intersecting, right, with ours. Demonic possession, oppression, activity. It's much more prevalent than we think, because much to the accoutrement, right, we look around and we go, it's a movie. Oh, that's a comic book. Where in most of the world, it's like, oh, no, that's the shaman next village over. This happens all the time.
We were doing outreach next to the defunct Burgerville on Powell. And there was an
Are we
old
talking
dude.
about the old dude in the wheelchair?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if he's like an angel or anything.
No, but we both had that feeling. We were both
I was
driving
just
away.
going for straight Jesus. I don't settle for anything less.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Background on that one.
What? On what? Jesus?
No, the
Randy, take us in.
guy-
Well, let me tell you about Jesus.
the guy was an old homeless dude. He had like no legs.
Maybe one limb,
Yeah.
two tops.
He's in this wheelchair and he's very gregarious. And we hand him stuff and would you like some water? And he's like, yeah. And we hand it to him. And it's cold. Like, because we understand if you add salt to ice, it creates a brine and you can keep water cold for a very long time. So we hand him a bottle of cold water. And it's, like he picks it up and he crunches it and he's smiling like from ear to ear. And it looks just as happy as you could be. And I'm like, yeah, you got everything? He's like, I haven't had cold water in over 2 years.
Oh, wow.
At all. And I was like, it's just one of those moments where I was like, oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
Like 2 years, and it's just this idiot me handing you cold water. That shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't
Yeah,
be.
Shouldn't be a
It
thing.
shouldn't be. And
If it was like 2 days, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
yeah, and it was in the middle of summer. It was
Yeah.
hot. We were all sweating and like it's gross. And he was very happy and chatty. We were with him 10, 15 minutes. He's kind of shoving himself around in his wheelchair while he talks. And the stuff he's saying is really like kind of profound about hospitality and caring for people and what a rough ride he's had and stuff. And then he leaves, and we're kind of in the car going along home, and I'm like, the Bible says sometimes you secretly entertain angels. And he's kind of like, so it wasn't just me that was thinking that guy might not have been a human being. It was just very weird, kind of mystical.
Yeah, and it's not, it's not all of a sudden well, conversely with the other story with the guy with the blue eyes who commanded, and he was like, that guy doesn't blink, and he definitely proved to be not what he appeared to be, where then this old guy with maybe 2 whole limbs.
Maybe 2.
And just a smile about cold water, and very engaging. And probably looked you right in the eye when he talked to you. I mean, it's
right, blink normally.
Right, blink normally, right? Just that, like, it speaks to us, right? I think little things like that, we go, I needed that conversation or whatever.
It was utterly amazing how something so little that I take for granted all the time could impact somebody like that.
I just want you close to me. Though we have a rivalry.
It'd be like if you could afford Teen Wolf 2 out of me.
Why did you make like a vomiting sound?
I know, totally.
Real quick,
He
let me
was
just vomit out my
changing.
teeth.
He was changing back.
All right.
Do you remember that day at all? Because you said lunch, and it was not
No, it was
lunch.
dinner.
It
It was
was like
dinner.
7 or 8 o'clock
And-
after just the worst. Like, okay, we tell these stories, and it's like, well, it doesn't sound so bad. You had to be there, kind of. Like, you have to be standing there with everything falling apart and rotting and seeming like it's going to explode in your face, and you're just trying to get out of it. And then there's the other details. And then it's like, oh, like, yeah, haha. I don't know. What did we talk about already?
Oh,
It was the day that guy was just getting pounded into the ground. Just slammed into the pavement by that other guy with his dog. And we were in the middle of trying to serve a line that had formed of like 20 people. And I'm like trying to explain this to my wife. Like, okay, like you worked at a coffee shop. Like, you know that feeling when it's like lunch rush or whatever, and you got a lot of people and you're trying to keep everybody's orders straight, but also the guy in the corner is like probably going to die because he's getting his brain smashed in. And she's like, what are you talking about? No. I was like, okay, well, it's chaotic. It's a little chaotic. So we got done with that. And then we get like an emergency phone call. So he left. Did he graduate? He left.
No, he left.
He had left. And we were in contact with him because we would see him when we would go and visit other people that we were visiting at the time. And we heard that he'd left, and we were trying to kind of make sure that, because he hadn't left because of a relapse, so we were trying to make sure that he didn't relapse after he got out. And we were trying to help set him up with some work and stuff. And everything seemed to be going okay. We did like a home visit and met his, wife and his kids. And the only thing that was really out of the ordinary about it was there was this guy that nobody told us was going to be there. And he came down the stairs from upstairs and kind of sat in between us, which we were about this distance apart.
Like, it's literally if like that closet door over there opened and some guy we did not tell you was in the closet came out of the closet and just sat right between the two of you.
And we tried making small talk,
and nobody addresses the fact he's sitting between us. No introductions, no.
We're like, hi, and he's like, hi, how are you? And we're like, oh, we're doing all right. How are you? And he's like, I've just been thinking on some things. I've just been really, really thinking about things. Like, cool. Yeah.
Like your life, or like I'm trying to work with it, like about your life, or like what you're gonna do, or he's like
thinking about like
just things, man.
What your favorite sequel naming convention is? Like, is it when you add at the end, like Die Hard
Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, Son of Frankenstein. That's my favorite. The Son of Frankenstein, Son of Kong. Or are you thinking about like ways to like murder us and put us in your trunk? Like there's a variety. So that was the only thing that was weird about it. Because this guy that we were visiting seemed to be doing okay.
Well, no, there was one more thing that was pretty weird about it. And when we left, we went out to get in the car, and the dude was like haunched down in the corner of the parking lot in that weird position. Like if I got into that, I would never get up.
That's right.
You're like resting on your own
we
heels.
We weren't finished, and he had left. And then when we were leaving...
Again, they didn't tell us who he was or where he was going.
Where'd that guy go? And we get out into the parking lot, and you're right. He was totally in a, like, half yoga, half, like, ready to pounce on you.
And he's just smoking like he's mad at the cigarettes and looking at us.
So that was, like, a few weeks before. And we'd been, in contact with the guy trying to make sure he could get lined up for this job.
Was this... What color hair did that their common person have?
Blondish hair.
Do you know who this is?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, we'll get to it.
Yeah.
So we're out there trying to make some soups. Guy's getting his face just smashed into the concrete. Like, I'm sorry, did you say you wanted blue Doritos or Fritos? And they're over there like, like oh yeah,
I like the blue ones.
Okay, I just enunciate. And there's a dog, because the thing is, gotta rest your arms when you're doing a beatdown. Sometimes you want to let your dog do a little bit of the work. But the dog's,
exercise.
Having as much ADHD as me in the moment. So then we finally get in the car. The only thing that pulls us out of that is, we gotta go. This guy's like calling, he's having a crisis. And we drive straight out to it's late fall,
Outer
winter.
Gresham.
Yeah, it's like when it gets dark at
we
like
left
5.
in fall, we got there at winter.
Yeah. Deep Gresham. Like, we talk about how Gresham's nice. Like, downtown Gresham is a lot nicer than it used to be. Sure. There's still parts. You can go up far enough. You get out near, like, Palmquist. Yeah.
Northwest Palmquist.
Or as we call it, Palm Job.
Palm Job Avenue.
So we're out there. Winter, Deep Gresham, right by Palm Job. That nice Chinese restaurant. What is that thing called?
I don't know. The
Golden Dragon.
The Jade Palace. Or,
Jade.
It's all the
Labyrinth.
neon in Oregon went there.
When it's, winter and you're over by Palm Job Avenue and it's like 6 stories tall and lit up like you can see it from space.
Also.
So we find this guy he's just out with his skateboard, and I guess he'd been gone for like a day or 2. And he hadn't eaten, he hadn't changed, he hadn't showered. This isn't the weird guy. This is the guy that everything seemed okay with.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, let's go get you dinner. Let's warm you up, and let's talk through what's going on and figure out what we can do. So we went to the Jade Mansion or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know what's around here, but that's the brightest thing in the universe.
Thing that's turning the night sky green.
Maybe they have hot and sour soup.
Yeah. Could be.
So we get there, it's got the bridge in the opening where you walk over the koi pond. Very fancy.
Yeah.
So we sit down, we get the hot and sour soup. Yeah, I think he went for egg flour. That's how you know it's about to be a bad night. Drown your sorrows in an egg flour soup. So, and we're like, okay, so what's going on? Like, why?
Where'd you go, man?
Where'd you go?
It's been 2 days, bro. What's up?
Right. Why'd you leave? And we pieced together from what happened that we found out about later in the night. I'll get to this. I'm going a little... He died. It's okay. He's fine.
Unless he's dead again.
Well, yeah, but after that...
He could be dead again.
He could be.
Again.
We'll get there. Again. So he starts telling us about kind of some of what was going on in his home that sort of drove him out. And he was it basically boiled down to like the girlfriend or the fiance, I don't know what the
wife.
She'd kicked him out of the house. And it's like, okay, well, is that, were you relapsing and she kicked you out, or did she kick you out and now you've relapsed? And then it's this whole story bullshit, but it was very detailed. So basically what he was alleging was that it turns out the weird guy was his brother-in-law, so his wife's brother. Mm-hmm. And she was like, okay, they have been practicing black magic. And it's like, now I've got a pretty good gauge for when a story goes like, okay. Well, usually like the Matrix or the lizard people, or when we bring up Nixon, it's like, because we have that, we'll be talking to somebody and it'll get weird. And it wasn't quite that shift. It was like, well, explain, because I know people who've done black magic.
The other thing is, when these people tell their stories, they don't know they sound weird.
Right.
They're just like, the code.
He was very much like, this is insane, but I have to tell you guys.
Yeah.
Like, here's what's going on. And she was like, he's like, they're doing black magic rituals in my home. And I was like, well, how do you know, or what does that look like? Like, I'm trying to ask the follow-up questions. He's having a little trouble hearing because, you know.
I'm like, what?
He's
hard to hear over this sizzling platter I ordered.
We're at Chinese food. Yeah, why are those menus? It's like
a tome.
Yeah.
You
like,
glare at me when I can't pronounce it right, so why give me 3,000 different things?
When you have 100 options that start with A.
If you're not going to give me the credit of letting me try the chopsticks and you're going to assume I need a fork, then just assume I'm going to get General Tso's.
Yeah.
Because I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, big menu.
So he's explaining that he was, kicked out or left the house. It was kind of unclear, but what he was alleging was that his wife and her brother were practicing black magic together, and we were like, tell us more. How do you know?
Yeah.
What did you see? And he was like, well, I came home early one day. Like, she thought I wasn't going to be home until 5 o'clock, and he was home at like 3 or something. And he goes up to the bedroom, opens the door. I said incest magic to, preface it, so we know what's happening.
We know what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you don't know, you can do sexual acts as part of magical rituals.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so when you find yourself at the Long John Silver's Taco Bell combination restaurant and you're just like cornholing a blood relative to try and summon an elder god, it's like that.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's gross.
The thing that was
I could do a nicer version. It's like when you're doing hand stuff with a blood relative at the Arby's.
Any day.
the weird thing is how sane he seemed.
Yeah.
Like, you kept like,
Was it like, no, my wife
was fucking her brother up there, and he was like, no, I know this sounds weird, and it's hard to believe, and I've been trying to rationalize it in my brain, and it just doesn't keep.
It also wouldn't have clicked for us if we hadn't met this guy and been like, what is his deal? And maybe the whole story's nonsense and it wasn't really incest magic, but from seeing this guy being all weird, it was like, no, that would explain it. That could be the deal. Yeah. That's on the menu of options.
Yeah, one wasn't.
What's wrong with this guy? Like, oh, he's screwing his sister to try and get Cthulhu to make it so he wins the lottery.
Right.
Obviously.
The more transgressive the act, the more likely the dark forces are to honor it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing was, the whole motivation of telling the story was just to explain that he was very concerned that his children were living with this, with his brother-in-law.
Oh, he had children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like 4 and 2. He's like, he's kicked out of the house. So the only man in the house is the guy that at least he is personally convinced is screwing his wife, who's that guy's, blood relative. And he's like, I got to get my kids out of there.
Sister.
And we're like, okay, well, the only path forward for you to get your kids out of there is going to be to knock it off with the drugs, get work, power through the work, and then get custody. Like, if you can prove any of this, but you need to not be just hanging out with your skateboard in the parking lot of a plaid pantry.
Yeah.
On 392nd Street. At a certain point, how are you just not on the mountain?
Well, and the thing,
it's a little local humor.
The thing that was you couldn't refute it in any way. It was irrefutable. Was that guy just the one that just manifested on that stairway was creepy.
We just got such a weird vibe that it was like, oh yeah, that explains it. That could explain it.
Yeah.
That could be it.
Like, I'm not...
It's the satanic sister banger vibe.
Yes.
The satanic...
Vibes.
Yes.
Vibes.
Maybe that's what they mean.
More than
Oh, yeah,
one.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. So we took this guy and we got him. We were like, okay, well, you're homeless, so let's do it in style. So we got him a tent and a cot, and we were like, okay, we're going to come back tomorrow, and we are going to get you to this job interview that he had lined up already. And it's like, and you're going to work, and you're going to get yourself out of here, and you're going to get custody of your kids. It's like a multi-year plan, but it starts with you need to just power through. And,
Well, some local color went over to the homie that was sleeping there, who up to this point seemed pretty sober, although he might have been a lunatic, but also it's Portland, so people do weird things. They were like, hey, you're the new guy. Want to smoke some with us? And like, he's like, I just am thinking about my brother-in-law banging
yes,
my wife.
I do want to smoke some.
I think that'd be awesome, because that would help me not think about what I saw.
So anyways, he died,
Yeah.
like, immediately.
Yeah, they had to
But when we came to pick him up for coffee the next morning, because we upheld our end,
he was
we
ready to go.
Yeah, we didn't know he was dead. He was alive at that point.
He was fine. He was ready
and
to
then
go.
later, after we'd gone through a whole day, we were like, wait, he died and he totally didn't tell us? Anyways, last time we heard, he had abandoned the situation with his family and went down to California to ride dirt bikes. So it has a happy ending.
That makes sense.
Yeah, probably, maybe.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's
Just ride that dirt bike into the sunset and rev it up loud enough you forget you abandoned your children to potential
Freedom.
incest, man.
So on any get day, you ask us how we're doing. We might be having that day.
We might be having that day.
This week's Sharpbox brought to you by the KFC Soda Bladder. Is a small too little in your combo? Get the entire set. For $2.95 extra, we can fill it with gravy. Let's put a ribbon on this and talk about why are we dwelling in this, or why do we have all these stories, or why do we keep going through this?
Yeah. Why do we, even you guys have doubled up even recently in the last few days and had solve cleanups and then outreach, and then it's been brutal. And yeah, you're getting jabbed with dirty needles, and yet here we sit, and you're going back out soon.
I was out this morning cleaning up needles.
You were out this morning cleaning up.
Figured I'm
needles.
already medicated for it.
Yeah, there you go. So, and I think I may have even brought this up in one of the other podcasts. A guy named Stephen Garber wrote a book around a number of different things. And it's that idea of knowing what you know, experiencing what you've experienced, seeing what you've seen. Why do you keep doing what you do? Why do you keep going back? Why do you keep stepping out? That idea of there's the reality of, like, we can know right, but then conversely, how do we do right? So why do you guys keep doing this?
No, you're the guest this week.
But you're the ones that keep doing it.
Well, Wendy could probably, your job's seems on, well, you're a wound care nurse, so it's
Right.
like, it's literally body horror
It is, yeah.
on an ongoing.
I mean, I'm used to it. Most people think my job's gross, and no one wants to talk about it. But I do my job because we're all human. We all deserve respect. We all deserve love. And someone has a need, and someone needs to fill it. And so if someone's hurting, we're not going to just leave them, right? We're going to serve them. Jesus came and served, and we all come out. You guys go out and you serve and you fulfill needs. And that's, I mean, to me, that's why I love helping people. And if that's how I can help people, because most people don't want to do my job, then I'll be the one to do it. So
I have a philosophical answer to it that you can correct me if I'm biblically wrong at any point, okay? But like,
Yes.
what you have is this situation where God created humans, and I think it's pretty evident that we were created to be an earthly, bodily family for Jesus. Like in the Old Testament, we see God presented in three forms: Yahweh, the body, or the body of Yahweh, and Yahweh, the spirit of Yahweh. So, the Trinity is present. And like you have verses like the Lord said to my Lord, well, which how many, like, you know, like there's two Lords in that sentence to make it even make some coherent state. So like we're supposed to be Jesus's earthly family.
Yeah.
And we were created to be like a good and pure and holy race of people for Jesus. And then there's like God's family, which like the Father, he has his spiritual realm, and he created the angels and the heavenly council. And some of them fell. And for them, there's oddly no offer of redemption that we ever hear about.
Yeah.
So I kind of think of it like this, like God created perfect beings that never knew sin or evil or hardship, and without that knowledge chose anything but him, but love, but kindness, but compassion, but hope, anything but those things. They want anything. Like Milton wrote, evil be thou my good. So we'll take anything in exchange for what you are. And it was a slap in his face because he gave them nothing but paradise and positions and roles and dignity. And in some ways, like, he had to treat them in some way almost like equals for them to think that they could challenge him.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be, but then he made us. I think, like, he gave us the chance to know evil. Like, he didn't create evil. He gave us the chance to know evil, like the knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah.
So we had the chance to fall, and we did. Another slap in his face.
Yeah.
Like, he gave us paradise, like the chance to be this good and noble, pure race of people that the Adam and the mother of all were designed to be. But we didn't choose that. But we're offered redemption because we now know both good and evil. And out of that, we can now choose Christ, or we can choose not Christ. But really the choice is ours. And then it kind of takes another step into heaven. Like, I've heard people say weird things like, you won't remember this life. I'm like, I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we're ever going to forget this life, because one of the traits of God is free will. And he created us with free will. And the ultimate free will, we could choose him or not. And he respects that wish. So in the future, when we go to heaven, we'll be sanctified, sinless, the good and noble, holy beings in a fleshly realm that we were created to be. I mean, he's going to make a new heaven. He's going to set us back on it. And we'll have free will still. So we could constantly choose to sin at any point. But what's going to keep us from doing that? Full knowledge of what this horse shit is like.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to remember every needle jab, every bloody, pussy sore, every horrible... And that's why he charges us not to hide in the church behind a stone wall and go, I don't know what's out there, but it looks pretty bad. We're to go and, like, heal and treat and love and practice this compassion. So while not engaging in evil, we can see what evil does to people. And that will always be with us forever. Well, a perfect recall of each of those moments. So when we get that temptation or that thought, like, I could do what I want. I'm, oh, right. Yeah, I remember what that ends up like, and I would rather be here.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really appreciate that. You said it, choosing, the power of choice in the everydayness of life. I have a friend who graduated out of a program, different program, that in response to everything has fled to the hills. And looking around, he goes, yeah, man, I got to go get everything ready for when all the Christians are running, and we all go to the hills. I'll have a place for you up in the hills when you need it. And okay, right on. Or we just choose to be obedient somehow to what God has placed in front of us, and we step into that. And we choose it today, and we choose it again tomorrow, and then that choice is again, and then there's just choices all along. And when we recognize the family that we are in, right, that when our Father, we begin to look more and more like Him along the journey. We start to look more like the Father we've given ourselves to. And so there's almost that sense, like if you go to Beirut or Africa or Outer Gresham or downtown Portland, everybody that's kind of the missionary that I've always described as missionaries are the ones that actually believe what the Bible says and just step out in faith, whatever that looks like. There's a camaraderie, there's a brotherhood, we could all sit at the table and have the family meal, and I think that's giant. I think you guys choose wisely, continually. It's very, very cool.
Well, it's not glamorous.
No.
And you don't always want to do it.
In the last 4 hours? Glamour.
Glamour.
It's a Halloween scene out on the beach tonight. It's spooky. The moon was full, the night so dark. We huddled round the bonfire spark with surfboards stacked up in the sand. We heard an eerie supernatural band. 4 zombies played a sinister tune as the vampires danced beneath the moon.
It's a Halloween scene under the stars with the witches and ghosts and the aliens from Mars. The ghouls are dancing on the sandy shore. In the Halloween scene, you never know what's in store.
Ha ha ha! The werewolves howled a crazy song while in the sea the spirits swayed along. The night grew late, the stars shone bright. We surfed till dawn, till first daylight. With crashing waves upon this dark playground, this Halloween scene was the best around.
It's a Halloween scene under the stars with the witches and ghosts and the aliens from Mars. The ghouls are dancing on the sandy shore.
Sandy shore.
Halloween scene, you never know what's in store.
Hit it, Nico! Play that guitar!
To make a donation, follow the QR code. Visit us at dinnerandamoviepdx.com. Hit the donate button. Venmo, our handle is @dinnermovie. Company matches can be done through Benevity or send a check to P.O. Box 28237, Portland, Oregon 97228. All donations are tax deductible. Youth and Family Crossroads DBA Dinner and a Movie is a 501c3 public benefit corporation. Thank you.